Welcome to With You Every Step, the solo travel podcast that explores, explains, and hopefully inspires you to travel the world by yourself. I'm your host, Michelle Lee. Welcome to With You Every Step. This is one of my friends that we have been friends for a very long time, since we were about 16. And his name is Mark Stewart. Thank you for joining me, Mark.
Pleasure to be here, Michelle.
So today we're going to talk about missed flights because a lot of people freak out thinking they're going to miss a flight. What do I do? How do I cope? You've traveled the world a lot. So can you help us?
Yeah, I've had my fair share of missed flights and so on. So I've got a couple of stories that you might find interesting and get some learnings out of.
Great. I love hearing other people's stories. And Mark has traveled the world a lot. So, yeah, we have been friends since we're about 16 years old. And if you know me, you might have a guess how Mark and I know each other. Mark, can you tell everyone how tall you are?
I am 6'8" or 203 centimetres.
Okay, that might give you an idea of how we might know each other.
Chess club.
Chess club, yes. Yep, I am hardcore. I am the queen of chess club. I like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, no, we do not know each other from chess. Yes, it is basketball. If you've listened to my other episode, you would know that I am a basketball girl and he was a basketball boy, and we played at the same club and we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. And we both love travel, which is why he's here to talk to us about missing flights. I've only ever missed one flight, so I'm not the person to really help and give advice on this topic. And Mark has missed quite a few flights.
Oh, that makes me sound so bad, Michelle.
It does make you sound terrible. He's missed so many flights. He's lazy. He never gets to he never checks in on time. Can you tell us about the first big flight that you missed and how you ended up saving it?
Oh, yeah. Let me take you back to 2011. I was backpacking around South America at the time. I'd recently left London or finished up working in London. So this was sort of my last backpacking trip before moving back to Australia.
So you were by yourself?
Yes, I was travelling by myself for the most part. So I was in Colombia at the time, and it was at the end of my trip. I was scheduled to go back to the UK because I had one of my good friends getting married in Ireland. And I was part of the wedding party, one of the groomsmen, so it was important that I had to get home.
Oh, it does sound like it was important that you needed to be there.
Yes. So,
were you best man?
No, I was groomsman.
Okay. Yeah. So after this story, you definitely won't be the best man. But anyway, keep going.
Wait and see.
Wait and see.
I was in a city called Medellin, or Medellin, if you read it in English, or Aussie English, should I say?
Now has become very famous from Narcos.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that yet, but I hear it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had a flight departing from Lima to London.
In Peru, yeah.
Yeah. The way that I organised my flights at the time was that I booked the flight into South America from London, and then I figured I'd work the rest out later. So everything was...
So you booked these flights yourself?
Yeah.
Just online?
Yep. Online, booked them independently, and I booked them separately because at the time that I was going to South America, I didn't know where specifically I'd go. I figured I'd just get there, then book the other flights independently later. Or if I was, doing overland or whatever, I just thought I'll make Lima my home base, I guess. Being in Medellin, being the last stop, I had a flight booked from there to get to Lima, to get on to my other flight, which was flying from Lima to London over to Ireland. My last night, of course, I may or may not have gone out and had a few drinks.
Of course. I love that you add that in there. Of course, I may not. Yes, we definitely know you did have a lot of drinks, I'm sure.
Well, the jury's out on that one.
I bet you they're not. Wait until this story continues.
Before I went out, I made sure I'd check my ticket. Yep, cool.
As you do.
Got the date right. I know where I'm going, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, next day rolls around. The flight was scheduled to depart about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I knew I had plenty of time anyway to sleep in and have a good lunch and all that.
5 o'clock in the afternoon?
5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, late.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. I decided that the morning came and I just sort of sat down, had some lunch, watched the basketball, chilled out, and I'm like, right, okay, I'm going to go to the airport now, grab my stuff, go to the airport. Get to the airport, look up at the departure board, as you do, look for your flight, look for where you can check your bags in and everything. Can't find my flight on the board anywhere.
Oh, that's always my
What's
fear.
going on? Yeah.
Every time I get to an airport in another country, that is always my fear that it's not going to be on there. Okay, so it wasn't on there. What did you do?
Tried not to panic. I just didn't get it. I just was like, that's weird. So I went up to the airline staff and I say,
so the airline staff from the airline you were meant to be catching,
of course,
okay,
yep,
of the flight,
yeah, because there was no check-in counter really open for my flight. I'm like, well, where is it? Wasn't sure. I didn't know. So I thought I'll just ask the question. So I went and asked the question and I said, I've got this flight. This is my flight number. And they said in their reasonably broken English that the flight had departed. I'm sitting there going, what do you mean departed? It's not taking off yet. Anyway, through powers of discovery, looking at my ticket, I realized that I may have read the landing time, not the departing time. So the flight actually departed a couple of hours beforehand.
So this was beer goggles, right? This is what happened.
It may or may not have been the case of beer goggles. There I was in the airport, knowing that I had missed not just one flight, but all my subsequent flights were in...
Oh, your connecting flight.
Yeah, significant jeopardy of my subsequent flights. I had an overnight stop in Lima, and then my flight from Lima to London was the next morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right. So you're thinking, how do I get to Lima so then I can catch the flight the next morning?
That's right. So I'm like, okay, well, I've got to find another flight to get out of here. I'm sitting there, well, the airline staff can't help me at this point. They said that there were no more flights departing for their airline that night. It became a mad scramble to find any airline, anything that would fly out from Medellin to Lima. I pulled out my laptop. I sat down on those comfortable plastic seats in the in the dark and dingy airline departure zone and began Googling frantically.
Did you have Wi-Fi? Were you using airport Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Okay.
So nice, really super fast airport Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm.
Is that sarcasm? Okay. Well,
No,
sometimes it can be and sometimes it can be really dicey.
Yeah, I think the airport Wi-Fi now is so much better than it used to be. So, no, it was okay. And it wasn't a busy airport anyway, so I did feel like I was the last one left. I think by the time I actually finished trying to find flights, and it was just me and the guy vacuuming the floor that was in the departure lounge. So, but
I have this visual of this man now just right next to you.
Those rotating like buffer things, whatever. Yeah.
You know, in the movies when they show that one person sitting in the terminal and then there's the people cleaning, that was you right there on your laptop. Yeah,
it was. I decided, okay, well, I can't get the flight out of Lima, so what am I going to do here? So I thought, well, next option is if I fly out of here the next day, then subsequent dominoes have to fall, and I need to contact my other airlines to see if I can move those flights. On the phone to them, okay, when can I move my flight?
So did you have your mobile phone with you?
Yes.
And did you have roaming on your phone?
No.
So how were you making calls?
I'm trying to remember now. I was using Skype credit.
Okay.
That was back when you could buy Skype credit and Wi-Fi calling through Skype.
Yep.
So I was calling the airline and trying to move my flights back. So I think it was around about, that day would have been maybe Tuesday, and I needed to be effectively in Ireland. The wedding was on Saturday.
Where you're a groomsman.
Where I was a groomsman.
Oh,
and of course,
time is ticking.
The Bucks party was planned on the Thursday night too, so I was supposed to have landed there on Thursday.
They were having a Bucks that close to the wedding?
Well, yeah, because everyone was travelling in from out of town, so
Okay, so they were doing it for the guests. That's nice of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would let my future partner ever do it that close to the wedding, but anyway, carry on.
The Irish.
Irish. Oh, they pull up well. They don't get hungover.
They just I think the Bucks party just runs straight into the wedding. So I called the airline and I tried to move my flight, and they didn't have availability until I think it was like the Thursday or Friday. So if I had to
move what flight? To
get on the next available flight out of Lima to get me into London, the earliest time they would have gotten me there was, I think it was Saturday morning. So then I would have had to try and get a connecting flight from London into Ireland and then get to the wedding all on that same morning that I would have flown in. So
oh my
it was
gosh. I would have been in tears on the phone. Okay.
I was a little worried,
Yeah.
because I was just thinking I've got to call my mate here and tell him that I'm at jeopardy of
I'm the
making
worst
his
groomsman
wedding.
ever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I might rock up the morning of, and of course we had the suit fittings, and when you're a 6'8" guy with a rental suit, that wouldn't have boded well if I had to do that the morning of the wedding.
Not at all.
The moving of the flight obviously wasn't going to work. So bar trying to book a whole new flight, I had a bit of an epiphany moment. I'm like, I wonder if I could intercept my flight, because my flight was actually flying through Miami.
Okay, so you were meant to be going to Lima, then Lima, Miami, Miami, London.
That's right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're thinking I'm just going to be a bit of a shifty man and go straight to Miami.
I just decided I'd see if I can make a shortcut. So rather than go Medellin, Lima, Miami, I go Medellin, Miami. So then my new goal was find a flight from Medellin to Miami that would get me there before my Lima to Miami flight landed, which I found one.
Yes.
So that one was leaving very early the next morning, but it was going to land with plentiful time to catch my flight.
Okay.
And luckily enough, when I spoke to the airline, I said, look, this is what I want to do. And of course, I won't show up for the Lima Miami leg, but will you let me get on the plane in Miami and check in there? And they said that was fine. Whether that's possible now with new booking rules, who knows? That was a bit of out of the box thinking, and I managed to pull it off, and probably saved me a couple of grand in the process. So.
So you had to pay for your flight though from
yeah.
Medellin to get to Miami?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I couldn't get insurance on that. They don't insure drunken stupidity.
I don't know why not. They really should.
Yeah. But it just goes to show you these days, like the tools that you have at your disposal is things like that. You can actually
Yeah, and
pull
like
off.
you said, if you think out of the box, I would never have thought of that. I would have just given it over to the airline and said, please help me. What can we do? And if they said nothing, I would have just cried.
Yeah.
Fix me.
I
Do
think that-
something.
Because obviously I booked everything direct, so my ability to change flights and everything without fees and without, I don't know, and being given the priority to or if you're put on standby or something, I didn't really have. Where if you go through an agency or if you get a different fare class, then you have that backup.
Yeah, which I do often go through a travel agent just to be able to take that stress away from me. I know when I was in South America, I was in the Amazon out of any kind of connection to anything. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have anything. And I had no idea that one of my flights to come home to Australia had been changed. And by the time I got back, I had all these emails telling me, this is the change of flight, this is where it's gone to, and it's all been sorted. Because if I had done that myself, I probably would have had the same stress that you did, because it was not going to then connect with all my flights to come home. Where my travel agent sorted it all for me, I didn't have to worry about it. I just came back to this email saying done. So I like that.
Yeah, I mean, horses for courses. I think different people like different things, and with travel agencies, I think there's certainly a place for them. Like a lot of people talk about, travel agents are dead now, and everyone can do it yourself online, and I don't think that's actually true.
And I hope that people still go through them, because people need to have a job.
Yeah, definitely. I don't agree with people who decide to go to a travel agent, get the travel agent to do all the work, and then they go and decide to just book themselves and effectively use the travel agent without paying for the service. I think that's it's kind of immoral, and it affects the industry too, because now you'll find that travel agencies will start charging up front for advice and everything,
Which they do in the US.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they charge for a quote.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then that model's it's not a good model that you want to be in, because you want to be able to just have those discussions and appreciate when someone is giving you that advice, and show your appreciation by saying, hey mate, you're employed and I'm supporting your industry and stuff. As long as you feel as though you're getting a good deal.
And don't be afraid that if you do get a quote, to double check that they're doing the right thing. Because I have sometimes gone back and said, hey, I've found this same flight that you've got there for a cheaper price. So then they matched it. So I didn't have to go book it myself. They said, okay, yeah, cool. I wasn't able to find that. Now you've found it. You've brought it to me. I can see what I can do. And they matched it. So I think there is ways of still making sure that they can still get their commission and still do their job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you still get the best price.
Yeah, precisely. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, harmonious.
Yeah, so good. Okay, so that one ended up getting you back for the wedding.
Yes, I got back for the wedding.
Lucky.
With time to spare, I even made the Bucks party.
Good, so they could do the adjustments on your...
Yeah, got the suit sorted. Yeah, that's a story for another episode, I think.
I just need to know, did it come to your knees? Is that how short the pants were?
Let's just say the guy who ran the company ended up giving me his suit because he was quite a tall guy. Because none of his suits really ended up fitting me in the end.
Yeah. Story of a baller's life.
Yep, tall man's life.
Next time that you ended up having a tragedy that ended up triumphant.
Ooh, I like that. Triumphant.
Ooh.
This one is probably a little bit more, requires a little bit more of a backstory.
Okay.
This was last year, actually.
Recent?
Yeah, recent. So we had a bit of a reunion get-together planned with a whole bunch of guys that I used to live in London with. We decided that we wanted to go to South America.
So you live in Melbourne now, but you did live in London for a long time.
London, yeah. I lived in London for 8 years. I've been home now for about 8 years. Oh, yeah, 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
So for all my listeners,
getting itchy.
if you ever hear me talk about me going to London, this is the man I went to visit. I went to visit Tonka. Oh, have I mentioned that your name is Tonka? We'll talk about that in a second.
My nickname in England was Captain Australia.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
well,
I was so parochial about my Australian sporting teams.
Oh, okay. Well, to all his friends that have known him since we were teenagers, he is Tonka. I've just outed you. Can we tell them why you called Tonka?
Nope.
Okay. All right. We're not allowed to.
We don't have time for that, man.
I did go and visit Tonka in Mark. I should call you Mark. I did go and visit Mark in London for a week when he was living over there. And that's the only time I've been to London.
Yeah, and I think it rained every single day while you were there.
It did. It was horrific and it was freezing and it was the middle of summer.
Yeah, July.
Yeah. Anyway, side note, back to your story.
We had this planned and we weren't quite sure where we wanted to go as a destination, but South America was pretty much a lock. What city do we want to
So these guys are coming from London.
We had guys coming from London, from New York, from Australia as well.
Okay, so that kind of seems central in a way.
Yeah. So when we were looking at where to go, it was looking at a map, finding the most sort of, I guess, where people from those locations could get to reasonably easily and reasonably directly through flights. Cities like Rio, Santiago, Buenos Aires, that's Australian for Buenos Aires. Those cities from America or from Europe and from Australia were reasonably direct. You could get reasonably direct flights into those kind of cities. So, and we wanted somewhere a little bit out of the way. You know, we didn't want to meet up in LA or you know, something like that.
Something a little bit more exotic.
Yeah, something just, you know, something different, somewhere that we hadn't been to before. Obviously, well, I'd been there multiple times. A lot of the other guys had never been to South America continent. So that was another driver as well. So that was the destination chosen. I only had a short amount of time available for the dates that they wanted to do. So I decided to just book those flights into Santiago reasonably early while they were cheap.
So what kind of time frame are we talking?
Well, I had 6 days in total.
6 days to go to South America.
Yeah.
Wowzers. Okay, so for my listeners all around the world, a flight from, say, Melbourne to Santiago, do you remember how many hours that is?
Yeah, about 15.
So that's a 15-hour flight just there for 6 days.
Yep.
You're intense. Okay. All right, this is what he does. This is his thing.
I've done shorter flights.
Yeah.
I flew from London to Boston to catch Game 7 of a NBA Finals series. Pretty much flew in, watched the game, flew out a day later.
Love it.
That was a 7-8 hour flight one way. Yeah.
I would do that too, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anything for a Game 7.
Yeah. Yeah, so I booked that flight way in advance, and I thought, look, I'll just get the flight that goes into Santiago, and then once the guys will figure out the rest, I can sort of book those internal flights, which will be a little bit cheaper anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that was all sorted, no worries. So we decided BA would be the place to go. I was sitting there going, yeah, great. I've been to BA like 5 times, so if I'm flying all that way, maybe I should do something for myself as well. Although I only had a small amount of time, thought, well, I'll do a little side trip, something that makes the trip, give it something unique.
Something that you hadn't done before.
Yeah, something I hadn't done before that was still on my bucket list. And one of the things that was on my bucket list was to go to the Atacama Desert, which is northern area of Chile. If I'm flying into Santiago anyway, I thought, well, that's just a domestic flight up north.
So anyone that's looking at flights in South America, I found that they're really expensive. I did not find many cheap flights. Did you find that they're quite expensive, even for a flight that's not that long?
I remember they were expensive. More recently, I booked this trip to San Pedro or to Atacama Desert. It wasn't too bad. It was okay.
Okay, because most
but
of my
not
flights
cheap like flying around Europe cheap. But
yeah, well, most of my flights within South America were $500-$600 each.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. No, I wouldn't. They weren't that much.
Okay, this is Australian dollars. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first looked at the option of going to the desert, I looked at all my times and how it would work. I knew I needed to be in Buenos Aires on the Friday, get there and leave the following Monday. So I was pretty much, I had like this extended weekend in BA, and I departed Melbourne on the Tuesday. I had pretty much Wednesday, Thursday as my days of doing something before having to get to BA on Friday.
And you're hoping to go to a desert.
Yeah, what better place to go when you've only got 2 days to play?
Yeah.
In the Atacama Desert, there's a city, and I mentioned earlier, called, it's pretty much a country down, called San Pedro. And it's a pretty popular tourist destination for people who go to that area because the Atacama Desert, it's at altitude. It gets like 3 millimeters of rain a year. Like it's clear skies for 364 out of the 365 days a year. It's that kind of place. Like
imagine if you got there for that one day.
Yeah. Yeah, driest place on Earth outside of Antarctica. Fact of the day.
Okay, I'm just going to say something later when you finish your story about going back to that one day a year. Anyway, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I planned 2 days, just in case. And San Pedro is known for, like, you've got salt flats there. You've got what's called the Moon Valley, which is sort of, the terrain looks like you're on the moon.
So is that where you go into if you're planning to go to the Bolivian salt flats?
No, well, Bolivian salt flats in Bolivia, not Chile.
Yeah, but can't you drive to it from there?
That's basically like the other side.
Okay.
Right.
So if you're going to do the salt flats, can you do the salt flats from there instead of going into Bolivia?
Yeah. The salt flats are massive.
So there's Chilean salt flats?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I thought they were all Bolivian.
Nope.
I thought you had to cross over into Bolivia to go and see the salt flats. Okie dokie.
Nope. Sorry, I'm shaking my head. The listeners can't see that. But
no, he is shaking his head looking at me while I'm going, wow, that would have been a good tip to know when I was looking at it, because I wanted to really wanted to go to the salt flats, but I couldn't fit it into my schedule. But it's also because I couldn't find an easy way to get there. But saying that, this doesn't sound like it's the easiest way to get there either in a very short time frame. Anyway, Continue with your story.
So that's what I decided to do. So I booked a multi-stop flight, which went Santiago up to a town called Calama, which is the closest airport to San Pedro, about a 45-minute drive away, and then the return back to down to Buenos Aires, and then back to Santiago. So just basically a triangle while I'm over there. And I had 2 days scheduled for the desert. The reason why I wanted to go there was actually not for the salt flats or anything, but because at altitude and because it's so clear skies, it's actually the best. That's where all the observatories are, and that's the best for taking photos of stars, which I like to do. I like to do night photography. That was my driver. I thought, yeah, I'll go there, take some photos of stars for a couple of nights, and then...
Do you have a fascination with stars? Like, do you know much about them, or you just want to take photos of them?
When I was at university, I decided to take an elective subject called astrophysics. Biggest mistake I ever made. I
thought you were going to tell me something I didn't know about you then. I was like, whoa, have you got this fascination for something I didn't even know about?
I had a fascination until I went to that course, and I learned very quickly that calculating the trajectory of a comet or something is insanely mathematically involved. That's
not your cup of tea.
I'm just sitting there going, I'll let someone else do this.
Okay, I'll just take photos of stars.
I'll just take photos of it, yeah. That's pretty insane. But I actually learned a lot of respect for people who try and figure all the space stuff out. It's pretty wild. Did have a fascination when I was younger, but I never really executed any further than just taking photos of them. That was the plan. The plan was to get this flight over Santiago, change over, fly over to San Pedro, pick up a rental car, drive for 45 minutes, had my accommodation in San Pedro for 2 nights, and on those 2 nights I'd just take photos of the stars, and during the day I'd look at salt or moon stuff.
Okay.
Whatever I wanted to do, right? But I wasn't up there for that. I was just up there for the night show, I guess. That was all good. Left Melbourne, get on the plane to Sydney. I'm sitting in Sydney. The flight's delayed out of Sydney.
Oh.
I'm seeing the dominoes lined up here, and I'm thinking, if this flight's delayed anymore, I'm going to miss my flight. Sure enough, it was delayed.
So your
again.
flight to Santiago?
Yeah. My flight to Santiago was delayed, and my flight from Santiago was going to be affected if it was delayed any further.
Okay.
And then the flight was delayed even more by another 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
At that point, I'm looking at it going, okay, well, I'm going to miss my flight. So you're sitting in the airport and you're seeing all these delays and you're kind of going, right, okay, well.
Are you getting told why it's delayed?
No, engine issue. And
Oh, okay. As soon as they say engine issue, I'm like, I'm good. I'll sit here.
Yeah,
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll wait until you get that baby ready. I'm not getting on that plane until you fix that.
Yeah, just give me my meal voucher and I'll be on my way. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, these plans that I have finally tuned and spent a lot of hours doing, because I booked it all myself.
To the hour,
yeah, because I booked it all myself. So I knew there was always that risk. And when you got such a short time frame, you're always running a very, on a knife edge, because as soon as one domino falls, the rest of them are going to fall, which is what I encountered. After that happened, I'm looking at it going, okay, well, I'm not going to get my flight out of San Pedro, so I need to get the next one. So I contacted the airline and said, oh, look, I'm stuck in Australia still. I'm going to miss my flight. What can I do? And they look at my flight and they said, sorry, sir, your flight is non-cancelable and non-changeable. Well,
ouch.
So what does that mean? If you don't rock up for your flight, your booking will be cancelled. So you can't get that flight. Okay, so what about my other flights? They're okay. They're still right. Like, can I maybe...
The carry-on ones that keep continuing
the one
on.
From Calama back to BA and BA to Santiago. They said, oh, no, if you no-show one, you forfeit the rest.
Oh, so they're all linked.
Yeah, because they're on the one booking, and the way the booking systems work now is that if you are a no-show for any of your... So if you had multiple segment flights, if you're a no-show for any of them, all subsequent flights that follow on that same booking will be lost.
Oh, okay. So going back to your earlier one that you ended up intercepting in Miami... Does that mean that probably wouldn't happen now?
That's an interesting question. I don't actually know. Yeah.
I guess it depends on the airline. It depends on how it's been booked. Yeah,
and because if that flight was considered a different segment, that was just a stopover. So maybe I was able to. I don't know. It's an interesting question whether now just the flight booking systems have changed, because of course now with all the low cost airfares that they offer and everything with tighter terms and conditions. But it's a term and condition that one must know, because there's been, I've had a number of discussions with other people where no one ever realizes that. It's like I did not know that if I had have missed any of my flights out of this sequence of flights that I had booked, that I would have lost them all. Certainly something to be wary of when you're booking these type of trips.
Privately,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you buy a flexible fare, then it's different, but
on the cheap ones, yeah, that's right. That's the thing, though. You get them cheap for a reason.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So you just got to be aware. So at that point, I was sitting there going, okay, well, what do I do? Because I need to now rebook flights. I pretty much, because I was definitely missing that first flight and I couldn't change it, I had to rebook all my internal flights. That was a given.
So where are you trying to do this?
In the airport in Sydney.
At the gate.
Yeah, plastic chair, no vacuumer. Obviously, when that sort of happens and you've got all these grand plans and you kind of so emotionally invested in it, and when all that comes crashing down, you just
I would want to be curled up in a ball crying.
I think I was at some point I just need to cry. It's just so bad, but I think I was just like, right, okay, incident management mode on or something. It's like, right, okay, alert, let's batten down the hatches. Let's figure out what we can do about this. quickly, right? Because I was on a time limit. I had to sort it out. Before, at any point in time, they could have said, right, the flight's boarding, and I knew then I didn't have Wi-Fi or anything. I had to, and I wanted everything sorted out before I got on that plane. Otherwise, I've lost another day and then everything else. So I was just madly Googling or jumping on Skyscanner and trying to figure out what I can do. I ended up deciding, I guess, when you're in that position, it's like, what do you do? The advice I'd give anyone first is obviously calm yourself down, because if you're flurrying and if you're hasty, then you're just not going to think straight. So do what you need to do to settle yourself. And
bit
then,
of meditation, go for a walk, do some stretches, listen to my episode with Anna Ray. She talks about how to stretch out your body. Maybe that's a really good way to do that in the airport. You can do those exercises, go back, listen to that episode, do those stretches, get your mind in the right frame of mind, and then have a crack at trying to get your new flight.
Yeah, I guess the important thing is, like anything, don't panic, right? So I was sitting there going, okay, well, what have I got to do? And the most important thing to me was to make sure that I can still get in and out of Buenos Aires, BA. I'm just going to call it BA because I always question how I pronounce the thing. I ended up booking just a return trip, Santiago to BA and back. Just keep it simple. Just do that and worry about the desert stuff later. Because the last thing I want is I'm meeting up with all my mates from all over the world and then I can't get there. I sorted that out. So that was one flight. And of course...
so you're still sitting in Sydney Airport while this is getting figured out. Okay.
Sort out the flight. So the most
and you've got to pay for this yourself.
When all this stuff happened, the first thought that comes to your mind is, oh my God, how much is it going to cost me to buy all these new flights? And what about my insurance and da-da-da-da? And whenever I travel, I always make sure I've got travel insurance. And
me too.
I have credit card travel insurance, which
I never do because they never cover me.
Yeah, exactly. So the credit card that I've used as my primary spending credit card is well regarded for travel insurance, but there's a lot of credit cards out there that tout travel insurance but actually have a lot of exclusions. Wherever you go, just travel insurance is mandatory, because worst case scenario, you don't want to be in a position where for the low cost that it is to have it, it's a non-negotiable.
It is really.
From my perspective, my thing was, okay, well, I've got to find out. So I had a look at the terms and conditions of my travel insurance just to make sure that they would reimburse me for any flights and whatever else that I need to rebook. And
so that is because it was delayed from the airline, not because you were drunk and you missed your flight, correct?
That's exactly right, Michelle. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, I did everything by the book for that one. Exactly. It was the airline that had caused the delay.
How do you prove that to your travel insurance?
So the biggest thing about that is that you have to get an artifact from the air. Don't ever leave the airport or the airline or the flight without getting a written letter on the standard airline letterhead advising of the specific issue that happened. That is almost like your golden ticket.
Okay, so they're aware that they need to give those out. Do they offer to give them out, or do you have to ask for them?
They advise the customers, but I'm sure there's cases where customers get frustrated, get angry, whatever, might storm off, might not be thinking straight and not think about these kind of things. Probably the same with when a car crash happens. People go, oh no, I'm fine, don't worry about it, and they walk away. Then they find out that they're really sore, but they never got the details of the other driver. In that moment, you're just not thinking about that.
Yeah, fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
And in our case, we want to fly.
Yes, exactly.
You want to fly, so be nice, don't fight.
Very punny.
I am very punny.
Yes. But that's sort of after the flight anyway. They give you those artifacts after the flight. But the key thing was I knew my travel insurance covered me, so I was like, right, okay, well, now I can rebook the flights that I've already got booked, right? I knew that. And there's that question about, well, how do I do it? Do I call the insurance company and get them to pay, buy my new flights, or what do I do? No, you need to do it yourself. So another thing is, in those worst case scenarios, I guess you need to have the means to purchase flights, and that might mean that you need to make sure you've got a credit card with you or something to buy now and reimburse later or something like that. Always good to have that backup plan.
Which I do not have, and it always, every trip I think, I should get one for that purpose alone, and then I look into it and I'm like, nah, and then I don't do it. So touch wood, which I just touched my table, which is wood, that I never have to be in that situation, or I just get a credit card for my next trip just in case.
Yeah, well, dime a dozen these days, so may as well. Go do it.
I know.
Do it. I ended up booking flights. So I booked Buenos Aires. That was good. Next thing was to book the desert, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out my times. I'm like, do I buy a flight on the presumption that the plane will take off in the next 5 hours, because I didn't know. So I was kind of hedging bets. So what I ended up doing is, a lot of sky scanning, and I ended up purchasing a reasonably cheap airline, but I got a flexible ticket. So I figured, well, that way I'll just hope for the best but plan for the worst. I'm like, right, okay, got my ticket, all good. As long as the plane takes off within the next, I think I calculated, within the next 8 hours, I was good. I was solid. Turned out the plane finally took off. I think it was about an 8-hour delay in total.
And so you had another 8 hours, you were thinking, for the flight that you had booked that you then needed to be in Santiago.
So it was I think the flight finally departed about 5 p.m. My flight was leaving the next morning. I had time. As long as the flight got there, then I was good. So we take off, no worries. About 4 hours into the flight, they announced that the problem that they were investigating had returned. And
engine problem.
Yes. The airline was very good. They were very clear about it, and all the customers were very calm. However, when the pilot says, the problem's returned, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately we have to turn the plane around.
No!
Is the one thing that you don't want to hear. Especially as a 6'8" guy sitting in an airline seat going, are you kidding me? I'm just going to spend I'm going to spend 8 hours on a plane to end up back where I started.
Oh my gosh. So back to Sydney.
No, we ended up in Melbourne.
Back home, back where you started.
Because Sydney has an 11 p.m. curfew, so by the time we got back over Australian shores, it was well past that time, and so they had to land in Melbourne. So basically, I was in transit for over 20 hours, and I ended up back where I started.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, that stuff happens, and safety first, and I understand that. But
especially if it's an engine problem.
Yeah. But of course, I landed, and guess what? I had to move my flight again. Luckily enough, I booked a
flexible
fare
flight.
for that
Woo!
desert trip. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Luckily enough, I planned for the worst. So I moved that flight on the hope that we would, take off again and everything else.
So you got back to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Then were you waiting at the airport to get another flight?
No. So, they told everyone gets accommodation vouchers and, a taxi voucher to get to the hotel and whatnot. And they had a whole bunch of hotels planned. But of course, when you've got, a jumbo jet of people all trying to get vouchers, it's a slow process. And this is probably Mark's tip. I actually spoke to the airline staff, and I always say it pays to be nice to service. Doesn't matter what services you're in. Never be a you-know-what to someone working in service.
Yeah,
right?
Don't be mean to
People, they're being paid to provide a service. Why are you being so mean? There's just no need for it, and they're the people. You're basically shooting the middleman, and I just don't understand. I understand when people get angry and they kind of want to vent a little bit, and it's fine. And I've been in that position too. And generally, I sort of, if I'm in that position, I when I'm talking to the person, I say, look, I know it's not your fault. I'm just really frustrated right now, and I need to convey my message to you because you're the one conveying that message to the people in charge or whoever. I need them to be on my side. So generally, that's how I work.
Yeah.
But
I'm known to call myself cranky pants. I'm sorry, I'm being a cranky pants, but I'm tired and I'm cranky and I need you to help me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've worked in that area before, and anyone who's worked in it knows dealing with people is the worst part of the job.
Yeah, and what's that saying that we all get taught? You get more bees with honey.
That's right.
You get people are nicer to you when you're nice to them.
Yeah.
No one wants to help someone that's yelling at them and being aggressive. Everyone just wants to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
So if you're nice, people want to help you.
And one thing I actually found, because I've actually been in the situation before where flights are cancelled or whatever, and you get these hotel vouchers and whatnot. And one thing I learned quite a while ago was that you don't need to get that voucher in order to get accommodation. You don't need to get the voucher to get a taxi. As long as you've got that golden ticket, that letter, you can organise accommodation, you can organise taxis and everything yourself and pay for it yourself and get reimbursed later.
From who?
From the airline.
And do they give you a budget of how much?
No, you would keep it within reason. You wouldn't want to go and try and get a
penthouse?
5-star hotel and then expect them to pay for it. if you are reasonable, then that's fine. And you can speak to the
Airline.
customer service agents or the airline staff and just find out what the parameters are, and they generally will be able to advise you. And it's always better to do that on the plane before everyone gets out and starts a mad rush to try and get all this sort of stuff, and it becomes mayhem. You find,
do they know the answers on the plane, that the flight attendants?
Or if they don't, they can find out because they radio the base.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Get all the answers.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah,
Find out
get your ducks in a row early.
Yeah, if you've been told you're getting turned around and you're going to have to stay the night somewhere, say, excuse me, push a little button. Oh, do you want a drink? No, give me some inside information.
Yeah. I saw there was so many people just running around trying to get these vouchers and lining up and waiting for a long time. I don't know how long they waited for. I pretty much walked out of the airport, got a taxi, and just left. And obviously I went home for that specific example.
Because you came back to Melbourne.
Yeah, and surprised my wife. Honey, it's me. It's not a murderer. I'm sorry. Don't worry. My plane got turned around. Engine problem. It's me.
Yeah.
That was an interesting start to the trip and caused significant delays to my plans.
Your 6-day trip.
Yeah, my 6-day trip. So
that's now gone down to 5 days.
Yeah, pretty much. Moving flights again. At that point, I'm sort of sitting there questioning whether I even go to desert at all because I'm looking at the timing.
I'd be questioning if I leave at all for anything.
Yeah.
Engine failure is like a big deal. I mean, like, oh, maybe this is telling me something.
Yeah. I was so emotionally invested in getting to the desert that it was, come hell or high water, I was getting there. As it turned out, the plane did take off the next day, late in the afternoon. So
from Melbourne, did you have to go back to Sydney and out from Sydney, or went
because
from
all
Melbourne
the people
to Santiago?
all the people that were booked on that flight were still in Melbourne because they were being housed in Melbourne. So no, consider it an extended delay. Flew the next day. It was pretty much a day and a bit delay in total. Landed in Santiago, just made my flight because we were delayed in the air as well, landing in Santiago. So I just made my flight that got me up to the desert. Originally, I had 48 hours planned in the desert. That was eventually cut down to a total of 15.
Oh, my gosh.
So landed in the desert at 7 o'clock at night, grabbed my rental car and drove in pitch black for 45 minutes. By myself on the other side of the road.
So brave.
To San Pedro. Rocked up in San Pedro at 10 p.m. at night. No idea where my accommodation is. No internet. Google Maps wasn't working or anything. I did have roaming, but that was useless out at an altitude of about 3,000 meters, and ended up bumping into this tour company. Just got talking to them and said, okay, well, gave them the long spiel about what just happened to me for the last 36 hours and that I was trying to find somewhere to take photos of stars before having to drive back to the airport at 8 a.m. the next morning. They gave me the phone number, or they actually called this guy who was a professional photographer living in the area. He was originally from Alaska, and he'd been at the pub. And
okay, as you do.
Yeah. Well, it was 10 o'clock at night. They get him to come down and see if he can take me around to some spots where I can take some photos. So he rocks up when someone's been at the pub for a while. When they rock up, they have an aura about them. So he was a
jolly feel.
Yeah, he was very jolly. And but he was a great guy. Talk about sort of silver lining after the very big cloud. This guy was fantastic, and he just rocked up. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'll take you out, or show you some places where you can take photos." And he's like, "Oh, we can go for a walk up there." And I said, "Oh, I've got a car." He's like, "Awesome, let's jump in the car. I'll take you out. I've got some awesome places. Like there's a volcano about a 40-minute drive from here. We can go up." So we ended up at about 4,000 meters
oh my gosh.
altitude. I'm wearing just like a light pair of trackies and a light jumper. He's wearing shorts and thongs.
Flip-flops.
Yep, flip-flops.
Yeah, he's not wearing a G-string, but hey, he's come from the pub. Yeah, maybe he is.
So we're at 4,000 meters altitude, middle of the night. Beautiful. I mean, it's just like, talk about worth the effort in gold. Try getting up there. The stars, when they're in front of you, and just the Milky Way is the clearest I've ever seen it anywhere in the world. The skyline is incredible, and I'd recommend it to anyone to go there. Did
you get some of these beautiful photos?
I did. I managed to get a lot of photos. Yeah, we spent probably a good 4 or 5 hours. It was a lot. It was a long day.
Yeah.
I think I had all of maybe an hour of sleep before I had to spin around and go back to the airport.
Can you give us some of these photos so I can put them on Instagram?
Yes, I certainly can.
Yes! So we will put them on With You Every Step Instagram. Go check it out. You can see these photos that took a mammoth effort to get there to take them.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe you did that. And you literally there, how many hours did you say? 15 hours?
I had 15 hours in total, of which, that was also transit, sitting in a car for 2.5 hours trying to get there. No food either.
Nothing.
Well, when I landed, I was all about getting to San Pedro. Of course, I get to San Pedro. You got a small, sleepy town. Do you think there's much food available at 10 o'clock at night?
No, but there's a man that's been at the pub that's going to take you to take some photos. So that's good.
Pretty much. Yeah. So I had a couple of music bars. I think that was about it. So there you go. Yeah, that was an amazing trip, and luckily enough, the rest of the flight all worked out in the end.
No more delays.
No more delays. I got to BA, and that was all smooth, and everything worked from there. And then, of course, I got home. I had all the paperwork. These
Lodged
days,
it with your travel insurance.
Yeah, and now it's all online. You just follow the bouncy ball, and sort of just, as long as you've got your electronic receipts and everything, then you just basically upload the files and you're done.
And another good tip with that is take photos of everything before you go as well. I do that with all my electronics. And I've only had to claim once, and that was on my laptop that got broken on an airline at the top where you put your bag in the cabin overhead, and someone had squished their bag, and it's some places they put way too much in those and they squish them in. Yeah. And they broke my laptop. And so I had to make a claim, but I ended up straight away when I noticed, I went to the airline at the airport and they wrote out a letter for me. So I did have all the documentation. So it is really important. So make sure that you ask for documentation for any delays or any cancellations or any breakages on anything so you can make a claim and then you can enjoy the rest of your trip. I can't imagine.
Almost insurance 101 tips, isn't it?
Totally. I can't imagine how you ended up coming down from being on that high of adrenaline. Like you would have been just pumping on the go. And then when you got to your mates, did you think I just need to chill out? I need a holiday from my holiday.
Yeah, well, that was a consideration when I first booked it. I'm like, maybe I just take a couple of days and chill before I go there. But I had no sleep. Like I got to BA and I was pretty wrecked and I slumped out a bit. But then of course you're on holiday. So I think everyone knows, you're so excited, you don't sleep anyway. And you generally find that when you are on holiday, it is go, and you need a holiday after your holiday. So everyone says the same thing. As I say, sleep when you're dead because you got to enjoy it. And
so you don't regret it?
No, not at all. When I talk about travel, and I have done a lot of travel, I've been lucky enough to tick off all 7 continents.
I know. You've only done one more than me, which is the one I haven't been down to.
Not yet.
Not yet. Antarctica.
On the list. When I talk about stories, the stories I generally cover isn't, oh yes, I went and saw the Eiffel Tower, or the stories are, oh yeah, I missed my flight, or oh this guy, I got really drunk and injured myself. Who knows? Like all the stuff that you would say is things that go wrong, rather than the things that go right. I generally find the things that go wrong are the funny things.
I think that's exactly true. And that's the thing that I think people are most scared about is these kinds of things, but yet they're the things you talk about the most.
Yeah, they're the most memorable things.
Yeah, and I think they're also the things that make you who you are, and you learn from those experiences, and especially when you're young and, you might be going on your first solo trip. It's going to make you a different person because you're going to learn things about yourself that maybe you didn't know you had in you. Maybe you didn't know you had these abilities to be able to step forward and take control and create another flight and create another path instead of climbing into a ball and crying. Just not really going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, precisely.
It might feel good for a second, but then get over it and, get on with it.
Yeah, precisely. Through all that ordeal, like when people say, traveling alone, you're never really alone because when you're traveling,
that's exactly what I say.
Yeah, and everyone's in the same boat too, especially when you're talking about, delays or flights cancellations and stuff. You've got a whole boatload of people.
Oh, plane load
of people in the exact same boat, and everyone's sort of empathetic.
We are approaching our destination. Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts for the final 5. Your favorite city or town?
That's very difficult.
Everybody says that.
That is very difficult. I've got so many. There's so many to list. Because the thing is, like, when someone says city or town, I'm always like, okay, well, what's your criteria? Do you like nightlife? Do you like scene?
No, this is yours. No one else's criteria.
No, but I'm just going to just quickly talk through my thought process. In absence of a criteria, so I'm going to look at it from the point of view of, okay, pretty, fun, all that sort of stuff. So try and combine it all into one. And I think I've got to say Rio de Janeiro.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't go, and I chose not to go because I didn't think I would like it that much. Weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Oh, okay. So I can think of a few. Well, on the South American theme, of course, there's guinea pig, which is a delicacy in Lima.
In Peru, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, in Peru, and piranha as well.
Oh, poor little piranha.
It's really, really tasty. So in Asia, you can get basically bugs on sticks. Any form of bug, spiders, whatever, deep fried.
Spiders?
Yeah, you can eat a deep fried spider.
What kind of spiders do they have over there? Do they have tarantulas?
Yeah, yummy black ones. I don't know. There's just
Yummy black ones.
yeah.
So does that mean when you see a spider running in your house now, you're like,
No,
"Ooh,
just
yummy
gonna eat
black
it,
one,
deep
I'm going to
fry
fry you."
They have all the they have all the bugs, all the deep fried bugs. You know, have heaps of different.
Did you like them?
Oh, they're a bit nothingy. It's just like deep fried something.
I had a deep fried Snickers. I'm sure it didn't taste like that.
I wouldn't put that as my weirdest food that I've eaten.
Well, that was the question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but they're sort of the runner-up.
Okay, the runner-up. They're still pretty weird and gross,
up.
but anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What's worse than that?
When I was in Newfoundland in Canada, I actually ate seal.
No!
Yeah, those cute little seals.
Do they eat seal?
Yeah.
Like part of their diet?
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone ate seal.
Yeah, it's a delicacy up there apparently. Yeah, it's not one that I would like to eat again. Tell you that much.
No, don't ever do that again.
It is.
I love seals. Have you swam with seals in Galapagos?
Yes, I have.
I had a seal, like the seals in Galapagos come and swim with you. I couldn't imagine them killing them and eating them. Oh, I'm horrified. If you could see my face right now, I am horrified.
When they made it, I really struggled to eat it. It was just foul.
Beaches or mountains?
I got to say beaches. South Pacific beaches, you can't go wrong.
A tourist site that you recommend is a must-see.
Oh, this is another hard one. There's so many. I think I'd probably put Petra in Jordan. Again, you know, if you look at if you consider the sites in the world and that wow factor that you get. Of course, you get a wow factor with Pisa or the Colosseum in Rome, but that Petra, when you see that and the scale of that and just the surroundings, you know, you walk through this little sort of almost like this little cave and it just opens up in front of you. It's just an amazing.
Oh, I want to see it. I haven't been. I want to go so bad. My episode with Miles Dasher, the base jumper, he's jumped off the top of Petra over the front of it and down below it. It is amazing. YouTube it if you haven't seen it already. So cool. Yeah, I agree. I haven't been there, but it's a must see. Can you say thank you in another language?
I can say thank you in many languages, Michelle.
It will give me a couple.
You know how like you go overseas and you kind of like trying to learn the please and thank yous and hellos and one beer please. So
of course, Aussies always ask and learn how to say one beer please. Yeah.
Or five. When I first went to Turkey, went there for the whole Anzac Day ceremony, the guide that we had taught us Teşekkür, which is Turkish for thank you. Never going to remember that. And he said, just all you got to remember is 3 sugars and a dream. Teşekkür. It's not really exactly the same, but it's
to
quite
me it
funny.
sounds like 2 sugars.
Yeah,
Sugar 'em.
Exactly. But the fact that I can still even now remember how he told me how to remember it, it's obviously stuck. To this day, whenever I've spoken to someone Turkish, I go, hey, guess what? I can say thank you. And
yeah, and that's why I like to ask that question at the end of my podcast so people can learn how to say thank you in different languages all around the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Now you get Turkish.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have found this really helpful, and I think it also makes you feel not alone, that it does happen to everybody. And it's okay. You can deal with it. You can make things happen and still enjoy a 15-hour trip somewhere.
Yeah. Teshugata and Michelle, it's been a pleasure being on your little show.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. It's been great having you on. Thanks for listening to With You Every Step, hosted by Michelle Lee. We do hope you enjoyed listening, and if you did, make sure you tell everybody. If you didn't, nobody likes a Debbie Downer. Please subscribe to get up to date with our latest releases and give us a thumbs up on our social media at With You Every Step. We love to hear from you. If you have any questions or inquiries, head to the Contact Us page at our website, michellelee.com. That's also where you'll find all our blogs mentioned in the podcasts. We love to hear from you, and if we have inspired you to travel, thanks for listening. Love life and adventure on.